Welcome to Krayt Dragon Films first discussion. Tonight we're discussing The Last Jedi, and I am the starter of the channel. I'm also the director of the Vader series. I do occasional voices, but mostly I'm just directing and editing. And then we have Alex.
Okay, the Ninja Whippet. I'm the director of Sacrifice. I voice additional characters and Plo Koon, and I created the opening logo.
Okay, and thank you. And Mitch.
Hi, I'm Mitchell Basden / KnightJar. I'm the director of Star Wars main series, and I occasionally play Kylo Ren.
Good. And then we have Rob.
So I'm Rob. I edited Son of Dathomir, and I was the voice of Zaitan Maj.
Good. And then we have William.
Hi, I'm William. I'm the founder of Grand Stag Studios. I've got Kanan the Last Padawan, the series coming up. I'm the director for that. And then I voice Count Dooku, and I voice General Jando Donna.
Awesome. Okay, so I'm sure everyone knows that this movie's been pretty divisive for fans. And
that's an understatement.
And I've already talked about this with a couple of you guys, but I'd have to say I was pretty shocked, and I'm still processing how I feel about it. I've only seen it once, and I know I've heard people say you have to see it more than once to really appreciate it. But I have to say, like, that's the most I've been disappointed after one of these movies. What do you guys think of it?
Ooh, that's controversial.
Well, I mean, did you see the Clone Wars movie in theaters?
I remember seeing that it was on for one day, and then it stopped.
All right, no, I can say I've seen Last Jedi once as well, and I walked out of it. I had to think about it for a while, but I think I would honestly at this point place it at like second to Revenge of the Sith.
Interestingly, I said straight up as soon as we walked out that it was my favorite Star Wars film ever.
That's also controversial.
But I'm thinking more about it now, and like the following morning I thought about it a little bit, and if anything, I really like The Force Awakens a little more now.
It retroactively adds to The Force Awakens experience a little bit.
Yeah. I really sort of didn't like it after I'd seen it, but I woke up the next morning and I was sort of thinking about it, and it sort of occurred to me I was being a little bit nitpicking, and in the end, I think I really enjoyed it. Even though it's not the best Star Wars movie ever, definitely Rogue One is, but because of Darth Vader, but
that was a good scene, yeah.
It was. I did quite enjoy it, actually.
Yeah, I've seen it about 3 times. Well, no, not about. I've seen it 3 times now. And I remember as soon as I left the theater, I think I posted it in the Discord, I absolutely hated it. There was probably not but 3 things I could say good about the movie. But as an avid Star Wars fan, I went a second time and watched it with my family. They all said it was their favorite movie, and I started to understand things and appreciate a few things more. I, of course, surfed the internet and read a couple things about it. Watched it the 3rd time. It's certainly not as bad as the prequels, but I rank it. It is certainly not my favorite Star Wars movie. It's not even my top 3, but it was an all right movie. I think it had flaws, but it was all right.
Yeah, no, I've listened to plenty of podcasts and things just about, what am I missing from this movie? I feel a lot better about it now, and I'm sure I'll like it a lot more when I see it again. But I mean, just my biggest issue was Luke. Just he just tosses a lightsaber over his shoulder and just
what the hell are you doing, man? Don't throw that away. That's Anakin Skywalker's
I was watching an interview with J.J. Abrams, or it was a phone call with J.J. and they typed it up, that type deal. And he was saying that he had a totally different plan in mind for Luke and everything else, and he wasn't going to throw the saber, and it was going to be a completely different story. I think that's where Disney kind of screwed up and put a new director right there, and then let Abrams direct the 3rd one. That was kind of what probably made the film suffer the most, was 2 directors' creative inputs screwing up Luke. Luke, for one.
I mainly thought the kind of thing I thought about the films is that they're sort of set up like that game you play where you write a sentence on a piece of paper, fold it over, and hand it to someone else, and they've got to continue from the last word they saw. And so I think there should be more crossover between the directors. They should have a better understanding of what
the paper gets back to you at the end. You look at it and what is this?
Yeah.
It's a mess.
Going all the way back to like Lucas back in '77, and then another director for the next movie. I liked it. I thought honestly, I didn't think Luke's story was that out of character. I think he's changed a little bit, but like even throughout the original trilogy, he was always like this impulsive and kind of arrogant kid. And unlike people criticize Rey for like not failing as much as she should or something, but I would also say that like even in the originals, like any of Luke's failures, none of them had long-lasting consequences. Like even when he lost to Vader in episode 5, he was picked up like 5 minutes later, he got quick hand surgery, and 6 months later he won.
Yeah.
He didn't have to really deal with the consequences of his failure. And this whole thing with Ben was his first real big failure, and obviously it would hit him hard because he's built himself up as like, a legendary Jedi, thinks he can't fail.
There's the on a slightly more meta note, I thought that with all of the big changes and twists in the film, like Snoke getting killed and the supposed explanation about Rey's parents and Luke dying, etc., the thing I feel about all of that is that's kind of like there can either be lasting consequences from that or not. It's all sort of written in a way that JJ could write around it and retcon some of it if he wants. Like Luke could be back as a Force ghost easily in the next one. And Rey's parents, that could have been like even in Return of the Jedi when Vader tells Luke that he's his father. Luke then goes to ask Yoda, was he telling the truth? He asked Ben. Sorry, he doesn't know that was true or not at first. And then with Snoke dying as well, even then, Andy Serkis, the first thing he said about the character when he got cast was that this is a guy who comes back from the dead.
Oh, he did say that?
I think so.
Yeah, he said it.
Something like
that.
He
comes back from the dead?
Confirm that, yeah.
Wow,
or that he's come back from the dead.
Yeah.
Speaking of coming back from the dead, how many of you
got cast?
Speaking of coming back from the dead, how many of you think Phasma's going to be back in episode 9?
Oh, I think she'll definitely be back. If she,
I would hope so.
She has to be back because they just completely wasted her if they've killed her like that.
Well, huge waste of. That's what I've had the biggest issue with this movie was huge waste of characters.
I thought my idea I had about something they could have done to change it. What if the whole pursuit thing, which was my biggest problem with the film, by the way. I thought, what if they sent a bunch of... What if the major set piece for the film was the First Order aborting the ship? Phasma's leading the charge with an army of stormtroopers, and they're fighting their way through the ship as it's being torn apart by turbolaser fire, etc.
Yeah.
That sounds like it'd go...
that's what could have been, and this is what we got.
But then it's... Because part of the thing is she's a general,
it's a good idea.
We don't get to actually see her leading troops. We sort of get to see Boba Fett bounty hunting and Empire Strikes Back. He's sort of just picking up scraps by the end.
At least he died in the third one, not the second one. Yeah.
Right.
Or suppose
died in quotation marks.
Well, yeah, but I mean, Phasma, quote unquote, died in the last movie. She quote unquote died in this one.
Yeah.
And it's like with Boba Fett, it's like we saw him doing a few cool things in episode 5, but all the fans like built him up as this character who was a lot bigger than he actually was. He didn't have that big of a role to play. I think it's the same thing with Phasma. Like people are reading the books, and the people directing the movies aren't putting as much weight into what the books say.
That's my big issue with Phasma and Amilyn Holdo. I read the Phasma comic, and I read Princess Leia, Leia, Princess of Alderaan. Read about the characters. They became really, really important and interesting characters, but then they're hardly featured in the film, compared to, like, the references to Hera and Chopper in Rogue One. But then that's because they're not Rogue One characters, whereas these are Last Jedi characters. And so they can be expanded in the books, but then killed off in the films, because that's what they're in the films to happen, Whereas in the books, they can be expanded whichever way the author wants. But, they don't treat them with the same respect for lack of a better word.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, no, I
think-
think that. Oh, go ahead. Oh, I was going to say, I think that's a big flaw in this trilogy is just not explaining a lot. I know people complained about too much exposition in the prequels and whatever, but the original trilogy did it effectively with just a little bit of, and you know, I mean, I know all about the background of the Resistance and the First Order because of the books, but it shouldn't just come from the books.
Yeah.
Well, they shouldn't have to rely on all of the books and comic. You know?
Yeah.
And it's
You
like
need to
them
be able to
saying that, Snoke's past is going to be revealed in this film. No, it wasn't, and it's probably going to be revealed in a comic.
Wait for the
And
novel,
so you
2019.
guys just false advertised us.
Well, did they say his background was going to be revealed in this movie?
Oh yeah, Andy Serkis was building it up.
No, he said-
did it on.
He said they figured it out, but it probably won't be revealed in this film. He said maybe episode 9, or a book, or a comic, or a video game, or whatever.
When he was on Colbert after he had finished shooting, he had said that, and that was back in I think early 2017, late 2016. But I could be wrong. I mean,
But yeah, it's sort of when you have this much build up to the second movie in a new trilogy, you got to deliver. You can't do it. Just have to actually give the audience something. Kathleen Kennedy.
Well, I
what's
think
the name of the woman in charge of Lucasfilms now?
Kathleen Kennedy.
She said that she liked about this, our new director, was him taking so many risks, and I think the film really suffered from all those risks. I mean,
all of
too
the
many
really
risks
risky and
is-
interesting things.
I don't know.
Like,
What do you guys think about that?
For 2 examples, Leia flying through space, and Yoda using the Force lightning from the thundercloud. Part of the thing I thought
Sorry,
interesting
if I may,
Mm-hmm.
both of those things were awesome.
Yeah.
Continue.
What I thought about it is, we were watching the box set of
Yeah, I
Series 3
agree.
of Star Wars Rebels
Agreed,
at the same
yeah.
time. And Kanan goes through space like that at one point. And, spoilers anyone, but
Yeah.
another character uses lightning the same
Yeah.
way Yoda did. And then in some of the other books and comics
Yeah.
I read, even
Yeah.
a Lando comic that I read, they talked about the tracking through hyperspace stuff that I didn't really understand in the film anyway. But there's lots of things that it wasn't really that unnatural and weird for me, because I'd already read about it,
Yeah.
etc.
I think the more of the risk
Yeah,
that I'm
yeah.
talking about is Luke being all depressed and Snoke being killed so quickly and yada yada yada. But
I kind of
Milking
viewed.
the
what do
cow.
you all think about? What do you think about Snoke? I mean, that's the number one question I'm kind of wondering. What do you all think about Snoke
Yeah,
being
sure.
so quickly?
I had an interesting idea about that. If I could.
Yeah.
My idea is it seems like each of the trilogies is kind of like the original trilogy, but if a slightly different decision had been made. So like the
Went
prequels
bad.
were the original trilogy,
Yeah.
but what if Luke killed Vader in the end and sided with the Emperor? And what the feeling I'm getting here for episode 8 is it's the original trilogy, but what if
Yeah,
Yoda
I see.
had told Luke that Vader was his father before they fought? And so he goes off,
Yeah.
like Rey goes off. She doesn't want to kill Kylo. She wants to redeem him. And so it's
Yeah.
basically like skipping directly to Luke and Vader confronting the Emperor, because instead of fighting Vader, he takes him up on the, we can overthrow the Emperor, and they go off to do that. And I think really Snoke is serving more of a role of just putting these characters in that position. Like, I don't think he's as important as Palpatine. He's more just serving as a bridge to get these two characters to the point where, Kylo never saw Rey getting tortured. Like, Vader saw Luke getting tortured by the Emperor, and that's what brought him back to the light. But because they went in there already teamed up, sort of, they teamed up a lot quicker than Vader and Luke did, rather.
Exactly.
Kylo had no reason to go back to the light after that, but Rey had no reason to go to the dark. So now we have Kylo's in charge.
Yeah.
Rey is with the Resistance, but they still have that connection.
George Lucas once said that all the movies are like a poem and they all rhyme.
Yeah.
And I've started noticing that more and more. I watch these films over and over. I'm like, wow, it's really poetic.
Yeah, I do like how even though it's not George anymore, they're still
the other
kind of
thing I
keeping
thought
with
about
that
Snoke,
poetry
just
thing.
bringing it back to that, is
Yeah.
him getting killed off, I had no problem with that at all. I mean, I was a little shocked when it happened at first, but that was all instantly quelled by the really unbelievably epic shot of Rey catching the lightsaber when he goes back, and just the way that Ben killed him in the first place, I thought was just absolutely amazing. That was
cool. That was very cool. The whole fight scene was actually very cool. Getting to see
that
really
was cool.
Elaborate lightsaber fighting, and not fighting enemies with melee weapons, but not other lightsabers, and that was really interesting. If not a little bit, compared to some of the other moments in the film, where it's sort of, it's a little, there's jokey parts of the film and sort of setting up as if it's sort of like a family movie sort of earlier on, and then it comes to the fight scene, and that was a little bit more violence than you'd be expecting from what they were having in the film before. Like the one bit where, Ben slashes upward at a guy's head and sort of cuts it in half on an angle. It's sort of, the top of his head sort of just slides off, and then Snoke's body just falling down, and that was, yeah, I know. It just seemed like that was very gone from sort of just this normal level of violence in Star Wars movie to just straight away just bam, changing it to quite graphic.
That was one of the number one things JJ got the most flack for with The Force Awakens was the blood on Finn's helmet. I was like, that's not crazy. This, though, on the other hand, like, oh my god, we've only gotten, like,
in
Count
Empire
Dooku's
Strikes
head
Back,
and
the
hands
lightsabers
decapitated
cauterized.
before, but...
Yeah, that's
well, I mean, we also saw
in A New Hope.
We watched Grievous's
when
eyes
what's-his-face's arm
explode.
falls off, you know.
True.
Go on.
Fair enough. Now, my number one gripe about this movie was the Resistance ship just sitting there and the casino scene. The reason why I hate the ship scene is they just chill there when they have the First Order has a huge fleet. Screw if they lose a few fighters, they can send them and blow up the rebellion. Bam, just like that. Instead, no, we have to chill and let the turbo lasers fire and blow their shields.
Well, the Resistance ship wasn't just sitting there, was it? It was still moving. It just wasn't using hyperdrive.
They used a hyper jump to
backwards,
take down the First Order ship. The First Order could have just hyper jumped ahead.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, they could have jumped to the side.
That would have destroyed their ship too.
That was my favorite scene of the movie.
If I may...
Oh, don't get me started on the hyperspace thing.
The one thing that did occur to me just now is they've got all the First Order dreadnoughts. They destroyed a dreadnought. That wasn't the only dreadnought. Why couldn't they call in a dreadnought to hyperspace in front of the Rebel fleet and then fire the mini Death Star lasers at the...
Well, the reason for that is... you see in Battlefront 2 at the new DLC bit that you have to play in order to... Whatever. The First Order has their fleet all over the galaxy right now. Their fleet's really thinned out. The ones they have right now is like Snoke's personal navy. The rest is policing the galaxy and dealing with the Republic, what remains of the Republic. Now that I understand. I get why they did that, and they didn't call in reinforcements. But, I mean, all of this could have been solved by Holdo telling the plan, or the number one thing that I thought would really make the scene more emotional is if Akbar, a beloved character that we've known for more than 12 minutes of screen time, or probably less, made that jump, and that would add some emotional gravity. Instead, the bridge is shot and Akbar's gone like that.
I hadn't even noticed that they killed Akbar.
A person who's been around for 30 years,
I didn't even...
and we've
What
loved
the
him.
hell? I didn't notice.
Yeah, if it wasn't for a pointless name drop, bam! You didn't know this?
Oh.
It was a name drop. Admiral Akbar and the rest of our leaders are dead. Leia is in a coma.
I was paying attention. I was just watching
shitting
as it
me?
went
You
along.
got rid of a phenomenal character by just blowing him.
It's a trap!
Oh, yeah, no. Holdo could have been on that ship, been a great part of the rest of the episode 8, would have been a great military leader, and Akbar could have made that sacrifice.
Well,
but no.
I think part of it
lost
is
him so quickly.
Part of Holdo's character is you need to be... You as the audience need to not trust her. You need to be siding with Poe throughout it. But with Akbar, you know, we've known him for all this time. We can't mistrust him at this point. You know, if Admiral Akbar says, no, Poe, don't do this, you know, no one's going to question it. It's going to be like, oh, obviously Akbar knows what he's doing. So we need the new
But
character.
what's the point of the
Yeah.
mistrust? I mean, we should have trust in our darkest hour. We should tell
I
our
couldn't
plans.
stand that in the film.
Not like the
all the
First Order is going to
infighting and the
compromise it
resistance.
or
I
any
thought
way.
it
It's
was
just
ridiculous.
us and this tiny
That
ship.
was the main
But-
thing I
but
think
they
I hated
did
most of all
compromise it.
about it. Again, glad I got that out of my system.
Yeah, well, about the Holdo not telling them the plan. I think like a big theme of this movie is failure, and and yeah, she definitely could have just said, "Yeah, we're going to Krayt. Don't worry about it, Poe." But it was a failure of hers not to say anything, and it was a failure of Finn and Rose to go do their thing. A lot of them were just failing, and I think maybe that was the point.
That.
Like,
I think it was a failure
they
of Poe
could have,
not
but they
just
failed.
trust Holdo.
I didn't think about that. That's
I think
that's good insight.
It was Canto Bight was a little bit
Yeah,
forced.
yeah.
and weird. I was going to say, but that works.
Oh no, I thought it was really cool as a planet and as a place, but
Well,
its
yeah,
presence in the film was sort of just.
Well, yeah, sorry, I should rephrase that. I mean,
Oh, as a
weird
planet.
as
Yeah,
in its setting
absolutely.
and how it worked in the film, not the actual location.
Yeah.
It was a very
Shoehorned
brilliant
in.
design, all the different alien species.
All
Though-
the Muppets.
yeah.
There weren't enough Muppets in the Forces.
Though I will still, this is something I'm still
Yeah.
very.
White and
This
gold.
really
it's
annoyed me in The
beautiful.
Force Awakens, and this really annoys me
Oh.
again in The Last Jedi, is with all the alien species, they pretend as though all the prequel and original trilogy aliens don't exist. There's all just, we have to make new aliens. We can't have any, can't have a Zygarian turn up, or Togruta or something. Yeah, they just have new aliens.
I didn't even think about that.
yeah, Rhodey. And
I think the ultimate slap across the face, though, was, well, maybe not the ultimate one, but there was an alien in Maz's castle in Force Awakens
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know.
that was
That
based
is-
off of concept art of
That's just
Chewbacca,
stupid.
but wasn't a
And
Lasat.
'cause-
They don't classify it as Lasat.
Well, Lasats are technically extinct, and
Well,
they're on their
Las-
planet outside the known
Yeah, yeah.
galaxy.
Well, they're not
I
extinct,
get
though.
that. I mean, Zeb's...
They
But not-
pretty
they're
clearly
extinct
showed
in
in
the
that episode
galaxy.
they're
On the
still
other side of a
alive.
black hole.
And this is like
Oh,
50
yeah, no,
years
but they're
later.
like outside the known galaxy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
oh, and there's
Ah,
that
yeah.
tiny little alien in the casino. Someone thought it was.
Oh,
uh,
Gascon.
I forget that one
Meeber
tiny
Gascon.
general guy.
Meeber Gascon.
Ah.
But
Oh my
Pablo Hidalgo
God.
shot it down. He's like, no, not the same species.
Yeah.
I choose to
I was
believe.
so happy to see
I
Gary Fisher,
I'm
the
going
dog,
to-
Yeah.
you're
as
probably
one
going
of
to
the
argue with
aliens.
me again.
That was the greatest
I missed
thing.
that as well. I
love
knew he was in the
that.
movie, but I completely missed him. I completely missed him.
No!
I missed the.
Oh, okay.
The
Now that's
only
more
thing
acceptable.
that I
He
did
was like
notice was
half a
Prince
second, and
Prince
he was
William
poking his little
standing
head
behind
out of
Leia.
someone's
That's
purse.
the only thing I
mean,
noticed. That's that I didn't see Harry anywhere. I mean, he's in the movie too, but I didn't see him anywhere. I just saw
Alright,
William
alright.
because he's
That's
planted right
acceptable.
behind Leia in one of the main shots, and it holds for like 5 seconds.
Apparently,
That's my
the
mom.
alien that was feeding coins into
Yeah.
BB-8 was like the motion capture was done by Mark Hamill. Yeah.
Oh, the voice too.
Oh, was it? I didn't know he had voice.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that little thing. I don't know what his species
Here
is
we
or
go.
what he is,
Here we
but I
go.
like it. Speaking of little species, this has divided the film populace more than anything else. The damn porgs.
I did too.
They
Yeah,
make
yeah,
perfect
you already
sense in
knew it was
Star Wars
coming.
Universe,
The
but they are
porgs, I have
kind
no
of-
issue with them. I
make
actually
perfect
enjoy
sense.
them
They-
in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit. They kind of
Yeah,
reminded
porgs are
me
fine.
of the what are they called in Knights of the Old Republic,
They're
where you do
forced a
the
little
one
bit.
mission and then you'll just
Just a
come back
bit.
to the ship and there's the ship's full of
Gizkas.
Gizkas. They remind me
Gizka.
of that. They've taken over the Falcon. Yeah, I know. That's
Yeah.
Oh my god. Talk about a throwback.
Yeah, I could do like a full like hour-long
Believe me,
discussion
I
of
could too.
just the parallels between the sequel trilogy and KOTOR. I like it.
If
It's
only-
cool
if
that
only it
they're
was
throwing
canon
back stuff
again.
like that.
I think that is cool. I didn't notice any of that. The cultural.
When they talk about how
parallels,
Luke
but
had
afterwards,
cut himself off from the
it is
from
cool
the
to see
Force,
some of
like
that.
the Jedi exile. I thought, oh, okay,
Yeah.
that's very cool.
yeah.
Now, I liked Luke reconnecting, and I've liked the subtle things like him lowering himself after Rey knocks him on his ass.
Yeah.
I mean, that was all those little
speaking
things.
of-
it was very good.
Sorry,
it
if I
was
may.
neat to
Speaking
see. I enjoyed
again about
Alright, so
little,
sh-
small
go on ahead.
small alien species. I might have just offended a bunch of people. I'd like to talk about Yoda quickly, and how I think I really, really liked Yoda being in it. I thought
Thank
Agreed.
God he was a damn Muppet, not
Yeah, I know, but I
a
was-
CGI.
I
I would have
so
been fine with
happy
either,
that they actually,
honestly,
although
just to see him
the puppet
again.
itself did look a little bit
Yeah.
rushed
Oh, yeah.
and not really that good quality. But I did like the initiative.
Well,
Still better than Rebels
did-
Yoda.
I did like the
Oh,
initiative
God, Rebels
of
Yoda.
actually
Oh,
making a
God,
puppet, and it
so
probably
much
was Frank
better.
Oz performing as Yoda on set with the That's the one thing. I
It
don't know
was.
that Daniel, you'll probably agree with
Oh,
me
it
on
was.
this.
100%.
Is that they so easily could have had Anakin in that scene with Yoda, and I was waiting for Anakin. I was waiting for it.
Yeah.
I was.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, bring back Hayden for episode 9.
I'll tell you.
I was hoping so much to see
Yeah.
Anakin, but I also knew that they probably would never do that.
I don't know
I-
why they
I-
would bring back a young Anakin. Like, what's the
Oh.
name of the guy
Hayden
that
Christensen.
played Vader? Is he dead?
Sebastian.
Oh wait,
No,
Oh,
not,
no,
not
the
original
older,
guy?
Older
Yeah.
dude.
Sebastian
Sebastian
The original.
Shaw.
Is he
Not
gone?
Sebastian Stan.
Shaw.
Sebastian Shaw.
Oh, well, then never mind. That would make sense
My
to
theory
have a
is
Force
my
Ghost of
theory's always
the
been
old Anakin. I don't know why
because
they
having
would bring
grown up,
back
just
young
not really
Anakin
remembering the
at
first time
any
I ever watched
point.
Star Wars movies. I just sort of this is just what I thought from the beginning, is that he's gone back when Anakin's he's died as in his burnt, charred form as Darth Vader. He's still Anakin Skywalker, but he was still in the physical form of Darth Vader, and then his Force Ghost took him back
Oh.
to the last time he was Anakin Skywalker, the Knight of the Republic.
I never thought of that.
Well, there we go. I fixed it for you.
I like that. I've never thought of that before.
Oh, don't you disrespect?
Alright.
Don't you
There you
dare.
go. Yeah,
Don't go there.
I still hate Christian. Don't get me wrong, but
Yeah.
He's not as bad. He's not as bad as people make him out to be, but there are flaws.
it was mostly the writing. I will
Alright.
give him credit. It was mainly the writing.
Oh, I used to be
Yeah.
the biggest prequel apologist. Just like, oh, he wasn't. See, when he's talking about sand, it seems cringy, but that's because he's supposed to be socially awkward. Like now, at this point, like I know there's like problems with the prequels.
I still.
But I don't care. Like,
Man, I don't know about you.
I really love the story.
They actually
Yeah.
tease
Story
the
isn't-
sand bit in Star Wars
Anakin, the
Rebels.
socially awkward
There's an
Jedi.
episode where they're on Geonosis. And
Hate sand.
Sabine-
Hate sand.
Oh,
It
yeah.
gets
Oh,
everywhere.
yeah.
Christ, no.
Yes, same in the
although-
Phasma novel.
You must. Sorry, just still on the subject of Anakin.
Good God.
you
Back to
must
the
give
movie,
credit
though.
to although Anakin in the movies
Yeah.
wasn't that great, Matt Lanter's performance as Anakin, I still think is. Yeah, he's brilliant, and
Yeah.
That's in Clone
Yeah.
Wars. God, yes,
Yeah.
that was amazing.
You know, I would
It
not be
redeemed Anakin for me.
I would not be opposed to if they just had Matt
Yeah, I know,
Lanter,
that would be so
dub
good.
over all the lines in the prequel trilogy.
yeah,
Honestly,
Matt
like,
Lanter. It's something about his performance.
I mean,
No,
I
I'll
like
do
Hayden
that
Let me
for,
think
for
of
against
the
KDF.
the Clone Wars. They didn't. Sorry, I'm getting off topic here.
Yeah.
But they didn't. I know they didn't just go for someone that could do a brilliant impression of the character.
Yeah, we're way off
They
topic.
went someone that could get the character.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, sorry. Okay, back to the Last Jedi.
no.
All right, time out. Back to the movie. The one thing we haven't talked about yet is the actual main cast, like Poe,
I liked it.
Rose, Finn, Kylo, Rey. What'd you guys think? Aside from Rose
Yeah, I liked it.
being really
that's
yeah.
shoehorned, and the romance
Um,
between her and Finn being incredibly forced.
Yeah, I
don't care.
I have
too much
nothing
about-
against Rey. No, not Rey. Against
Yeah.
Rose. I think it was
Like
she
Canto
wasn't really
Bight, nothing
necessary
wrong
to the
with
plot.
it.
It's not she
It
was a
just
bad
doesn't fit
character,
in the film,
just not really
with the rest of the
required.
film.
Here.
I'm sorry. Did
Yeah,
you
I've
just
seen
say
some
Rose
people
is the
saying
new
like,
Jar
"Oh,
Jar?
Rose is a new Jar Jar."
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, there was a huge
No,
thing in
I'm
the
not saying
US
that.
recently
I don't
about
get
that.
why
Killing
people.
Ray Tran.
Yeah. No, someone wrote a very mean thing towards Rose's actor about how
Oh,
she's the new Jar
son
Jar.
of a-
and, yeah, why she why is Ching Chong Ding Dong in the movie? And it was
God.
really, it was horrible. Yeah, only in the U.S. But
She's not a stupid character. She's
I don't think that's right. I mean, she
it's
isn't
not
the
fair.
Jar Jar. She's just
Yeah.
fine. But
yeah. Can I say just quickly
it's just
about
the way she was
Oscar
handled
Isaac
with the
as Poe
romance was
Dameron
really freaking
sort of
stupid.
getting into the character of Poe from the comics. That opening scene where he's stalling
Fantastic.
Hux and he's just teasing him, that was just like straight out of the comics, really.
Yeah.
And that was also another example of what you were talking about before.
Loved
of,
that. Loved it.
Yeah.
He's a character that was like in the Force Awakens for only a couple of scenes, but he's been built up so much by the comics and the novels and everything that now he's sort of like, oh my god, it's Poe Dameron, not just it's that cool guy from the Force Awakens.
Yeah.
Also, I have to give it a shout out to Mark Lewis Jones,
Dreadnought.
the guy that commanded the the Dreadnought. His performance as the captain, oh my god, that was awesome. I'm a big fan of his, and I enjoy his voice as a voice actor. That was awesome. I think the entire movie
If
had
they
the
had kept the
momentum from
pace
that
of that
first
in the
scene.
whole film,
Would have been
and just when you
it
think
would've been
about
awesome, but
the
it
straight up
didn't. It fell
synopsis
off.
of the film, that they're in pursuit, the First
Yeah.
Order in pursuit of them through the whole thing, and then you watch the first bit, and then it gets to the rest of the film, and it's sort of, all the pace just drops away completely.
It's like it goes from a straight up pursuit to like a Resistance of First Order
It's
road trip.
lackluster.
They're just going across the galaxy, heading to Krayt. I really didn't think that'd be that funny. But yeah.
yeah.
But,
It just becomes a
but
battle
yeah,
of
it's- so
attrition.
it slows
Just
down.
holding them
And
off
can I
as long
say
as they
another
can.
thing on the subject of the cast? Dom Paul Gleason in the opening scene. Is it just me or is his eyebrows just seemed a little? He looks like he was sick. Like he was all pale and sort of, it looks like he hadn't slept for days. And this is like only it's only like hours after the Force Awakens, but his eyebrows are like really bushy and really
I hadn't
sort of.
noticed.
I don't know.
No.
He just looked a little. He got.
He's been on about this since we saw the film. I honestly didn't notice anything.
I noticed his eyebrows are bushy.
Wait, he didn't notice
Yes, I
Akbar
did.
or anything else, but he noticed
I'm not sure-
eyebrows.
Finn was good.
Yeah,
Okay.
Finn was good.
in the film.
Ugh. What'd you guys think of Finn?
Finn.
Finn.
Finn is fine. Yeah, Finn is good.
I
I didn't have
liked-
many
Yeah.
thoughts about Finn.
I liked his willingness to sacrifice himself, and I kind of didn't like that they
But I do
stopped
think
that.
it
They should have
fits with
either
his character
followed
that he's
through or not
sort of-
done it at all.
He didn't
Oh
leave
yeah,
the First
my
Order
heart
to join the
stopped.
Resistance.
I think that was
He
amazing.
left the First Order to leave the First Order, and it's the only life he's ever known. He feels like he doesn't have anything to live for.
Mhm.
And I think that's kind of the reason
Yeah.
why they had Rose as the love interest in the story, that it's trying to
Oh yeah.
give him more reason to stay with the Resistance.
No.
I think with I mean, he doesn't have much choice anymore, but
Yeah.
I think his performance was just so great. We didn't think about it much. Like I haven't given a lick of thought to Finn. His performance was just great.
Yeah.
It was excellent. But I do agree with that scene with him rushing towards the miniature Death Star bunker crasher thing, whatever.
Yeah.
I thought they should have gone through with it,
'Cause
and
I thought-
subsequently
I really,
Rose
really
crashing
thought they
in that
were gonna
weak
do it.
little peck.
It felt
Especially
that,
after.
that was if I sorry. I just
They
want to
should
say
have gone
that's
through
like
with it or something.
one of the most.
Oh yeah.
What watching for me with films, that was like one of the largest cases of. Oh no, they're not going to do it. They're not going to do it, are they? No, they're not. No, wait, are they? And then they really just write down. You just think he's right about to happen, and then it changes. It was so quite nerve-wracking and sort of scary as you're watching it, because you think that surely they can't do it, but
Yeah.
then you think, oh, they actually are going to do it. But then I agree with the fact that, oh no, they weren't going to do it from the start.
Mhm.
Yeah. Wait, really quick, could someone explain that scene, that whole battle to me? Those ships, or I don't know what they're called, but they're
Salt
scraping
speeders.
along the sand.
Oh, the sands, the
salt
speeders.
Speeders. Yeah. Did they? It seemed to me like
were
they
going
didn't
to
have any weapons
drive into the
at
legs
all,
of the
and they were
AT
just gonna.
DPs?
I don't know what they were
DPs
trying to
is DP.
accomplish.
ATM-6.
M6, sorry. Where did I get DP from?
I think they're the ones in Rebels.
Okay, sorry.
I think it's ATM6.
I think what the plan was, the plan was for the salt speeders to be a distraction while either they make a last-ditch attempt to... it was a distraction. They sent out Leia's signal, hoping support would come. Okay, well, crap. And we've lost half our speeders. No one's coming. Fall back. Poe makes that run. During that time, they're like, oh crap, we got to get out while they're distracting them. Couldn't find a way out. Luke, blah, blah, blah. Everything else is history.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought Krayt was a cool planet. I thought it was kind of rushed, almost. I thought we could spend a little more time. If anything, I wish the entire battle would have... The entire movie's battle would have taken place there. A classic Hoth battle with rebels fighting...
No, don't give them more fuel to say that the sequels are just ripping off the originals.
No.
I don't think a resistance trooper ever fought
just...
a First Order trooper in this film.
It was always some sort of... And Xander has said...
No.
Oh, right, yeah.
but
they're leaders.
No. Finn and Phasma.
He's a big deal, but...
Finn's not a leader. Finn is not a leader.
No.
This is a big deal.
A resistance hero in quotation marks. Yeah, there you go.
Doesn't have a big deal cape.
Mr. Big Deal.
Yeah, Kylo Ren's got the big deal cape in this one. And Phasma's got a cape. Can I say one thing on the subject of Kylo Ren?
And Phasma.
This is sort of a little off topic, but I just wanted to mention it, how his voice has sort of changed in that he doesn't talk in sort of the hushed, quiet tone that, truthfully, that my impression of him has been based on. Instead, he's talking, shouting, and sort of really getting it quite expressive and everything. And so then I was watching and going, I think my impression's useless now. I can't do. I can't. That's not how he talks anymore. He's completely different. This one, and the helmet. The helmet. Yeah, I do.
Yeah,
actually.
I like that.
I was.
Do you like it, guys? Do you like that he broke the helmet?
I'm so happy about that.
That was a cool scene.
I enjoyed when
Snoke
Snoke
was
listening to him. I was like, Snoke was like, "Take that thing off." I couldn't understand him either. Snoke, thank you.
Even Poe was
if that's your one legacy to the entire franchise, you got Kylo to fight part with his little half-ass helmet. Thank you.
But,
if anything, can I just say it reminded me of Spaceballs a little bit. Could you take that thing off when you're talking to me? You could be making funny faces under there.
But,
oh my god.
Yeah.
I really.
But no, I
bitch,
liked Kylo Ren in this. I hated him in the last one. He was a bitchy little whiny emo boy, and now he's this.
Yeah, I liked him.
And now he's this badass that I actually enjoy. His character progression, and while I hate
he's
that
supreme
Snoke
leader
died,
now.
I think Snoke dying elevated him, and now he's the leader of the
thing I thought
First
about
Order.
with Snoke
I'm
dying
looking
is
forward
also
to Kylo Ren.
Yeah, what I want to know about Snoke is, I mean, I don't mind that he died. What I don't get is I wanted just a little bit about who he is. Like, people say, oh, we knew nothing about the Emperor. Like, okay, I know, but we know that Snoke was supposedly alive this whole time. I just wanted a little bit.
Well, I mean,
of,
honestly, I wanted to see in
Jedi
the opening. I want to see in the opening of
Well, maybe I can help you with that a little
Andy
bit.
Serkis as a human Snoke fighting with a bunch of proto lightsabers with other Jedi in one of the ancient wars or something.
We still have the B season of Rebels. We still have the second half of this Rebels season.
That's true.
For Thrawn to go off into the unknown regions and
about.
find Snoke.
Yeah.
Real quick though about Snoke, the real issue with him is we've been thrown like ragdolls each way. First we were told he was a Sith. Next we told he was more powerful than Palpatine. Next we were told he was darker than Palpatine.
Yeah.
And then just like that, it's all gone. He's not a Sith, but he's something more. Okay, well, we know Jedi can become more after death. We know there's no longer gray Jedi, and there's only light and dark as far as we know now, and the Bendu, of course, but they're spiritual animals.
I love the Force
more
lightning.
than that, and Snoke is pretty dark. He can use Force lightning. That was cool, by the way.
Yeah,
I enjoyed that.
Very awesome.
Yeah.
What bothered me the most was
we did not.
Oh, and they also hinted we'd see a new lightsaber color. We did see a new lightsaber color. I was thinking that black onyx ring on his finger, which is black onyx from Darth Vader's castle, and the gold part is made out of Palpatine's statue from his office.
Unless you read the books, of course.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. And I thought that he would turn it black lightsaber, bam, and man, that'd be so cool, bam, bam. But no, we got screwed so many times with people saying we'd get this and that,
Well,
and this and that. We didn't get this and that.
Well, episode 7, episode 8, we had a bunch of flashbacks. Episode 9, we could have an equal number of flashbacks,
be the conclusion
about Snoke's backstory.
The sequel trilogy, the original trilogy, and the prequels.
I'm going to say something.
We're going to make a Death Star.
It's going to end
destroy
the
whole
universe,
galaxy.
essentially.
Yeah.
Star Wars is over.
That's
Go
the
home.
second. That's the fourth Death Star. It'll be basically.
There you go.
I'm gonna say something that it's probably a little mean and probably just making an assumption too quickly. But the idea of rounding off the prequels and the original trilogy and everything all in one, I don't think that's gonna happen.
But let's get back to the movie.
Yeah, no,
we have 2 more characters to finish up discussing. I want to finish discussing Kylo, and I want to finish discussing Rey. And that'll probably make the video around an hour long. So
great.
Let's
go
on ahead and knock them out. Kylo, last impressions or thought with him?
Much more interested in Kylo now.
Weird.
Also, they relocated the scar.
Yes,
that's the magic of medical droids.
Snoke said, "Hey, bring Kylo back. I'm going to finish his training." This is supposedly about 3 hours after Starkiller Base was destroyed. How much training did you get accomplished, and how much did you fix Kylo's face in that time?
Well, wasn't
it about a week.
The finishing of his training to kill Rey?
Can I say that
it was roughly about
the Captain
3
Phasma
hours,
comic,
and
that takes place over about 3 days.
It could be a week.
And it opens.
I thought it was about 3 hours.
Immediately when Starkiller Base is being destroyed.
Oh, does it?
Holding the
That was
lightsaber.
3 days. Or are we saying that Rey
Say
was standing
something.
there for 3 days?
Oh God, no! Not this.
another
All right,
hour.
we gotta cut. We gotta stop the timeline stuff right now.
Rey.
We'll discuss that in another video. Hey, what about Rey, guys? What'd you think of Rey?
Very good.
Rey.
Very good acting.
Sweet
The
Rey.
bit with the
I thought
the
Daisy
mirror,
Ridley's
the mirrors
acting was
bit, that
awesome.
was very
She
cool.
did good.
Yeah.
I like just simple sound design stuff. Like when she snaps her fingers, you'd hear the and then it'd go. That was very, very cool. But I think the character was actually probably better than the first one. She's not. I mean, in the first one, she was how do you put it? Kind of sort of the
absolutely.
same sort of whiny character as Luke. Like when she's got to follow her destiny and take this lightsaber and become a Jedi. She says, "No, I'm not going to," and just leaves.
Yeah.
And then it's just going to run away.
Daniel, what do you think? We haven't heard from you much.
Yeah. So the biggest question on my mind for Rey was Daisy Ridley was great.
Yeah.
I wanted to know who she was, where she came from, and I'm
parents
satisfied for the most
was a
part.
little
We know now that
weird.
her parents were nobody.
The main thing that stood out about me
I wasn't a fan of
that
it.
could
Kinda
be the
cheapened
lasting
it.
thing.
Cheapen
But
the
they
hype.
could change it because every other big reveal to do with the past in the film we saw in a flashback. But Rey only learns about this from someone who's trying to manipulate her.
Yeah, Daisy and Mark said in an interview not long after the Last Jedi had finished shooting that Daisy said, "My parents are kind of obvious," and Luke was like, "Yeah, it's kind of," or Mark was, "Yeah, that's kind of obvious." It wasn't obvious. That's not obvious that they were nobodies. What would be obvious is Luke or Han or Leia
I remember in the early promotion for The Force Awakens, I thought that she was Han and Leia.
No, here's the secret.
Mainly because I remember when they first released all...
Rob, what were you saying?
Oh, I was just gonna make a joke that her father is Luke, like Luke's clone from Legends.
I really didn't like the Jedi
Act
training.
2.
She didn't learn all that she needed to learn.
Act
Yeah,
2
she
of the
stole the
film.
books from Actu or Acto or whatever the planet is.
She needed more training. I wanted
I'm
more,
sure.
I wanted to see more.
Yeah,
of
Act
that
2. Yeah,
There was a
she
deleted
stole
scene.
some books, and Luke showed her
But Ben
how to connect
Kenobi
to the Force.
taught Luke how to do that
Luke,
in Episode 1.
What were the other lessons? Refresh my memory. But like no lightsaber training, which people argue Yoda never gave him any lightsaber training, and Ben did, or Ben just showed him how to deflect blaster bolts. And
Well, Luke
Rey
only
is
knew how to
obviously
use a
more
blaster, whereas Rey's had to use
kick ass with a
staff.
lightsaber than Luke ever was, and yada yada
That's
yada.
something.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Give Rey a
That's true.
double bladed
I'm looking
saber.
forward to her making her own lightsaber. Yeah, the double bladed. I get the feeling.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
but
Luke.
if I
she's
may,
gonna reuse the Anakin crystal.
a lightsaber
Yeah, she'll
crystal,
definitely use it.
a kyber crystal is just a one sort of
Yeah.
basic color. It's just sort of a kyber crystal when you get it is just sort of white. It depends on the person. What the color is, so it could change color when she
Until you give it
activates
life.
it.
Yeah, in
I
Legends
don't think it
was
changes once it's been
Crystal.
assigned a color.
The only way it can change is if you make it bleed, and the only way you can change it from making it bleed
Oh
is
right,
if
because
you
Ahsoka's lightsaber
redeem it and it turns white and it only stays white.
Excuse
That's
me,
the
I'm
new
still
continuity
reading.
Oh, sorry.
behind
So
Crystal.
he's just
Luke appearing before Kylo and having that duel with him, that entire scene, and how force projection
It made sense
is
for
now
me because Ray and Ben
canon
had been
thing.
doing that
What do
for
you
the
guys
whole
think
film.
about that?
and that was,
You're
I must say, it just occurred to me.
Well, no, that was psychological
and they could-
connection. That wasn't
and they could
projection, like
touch
being
each
physically
other.
there.
But
They
it
were
just
seeing
occurred to
each
me-
other.
It just
They
occurred
were
to me
physically
that's
seeing each other in their
a
locations.
stronger version
Yeah, they did
of
see each
what
other.
Leia and Luke did at the end of The Empire Strikes Back, with a connection when Luke is hanging from Cloud City and he's calling to Leia. That's probably the same.
Yeah.
That's just a toned down version of what Ray and Ben were doing.
Right.
Yeah.
I always called it telepathy,
Yeah.
but I enjoyed the duel, if you can even call it that. I thought when the blaster fire was hitting, I was like, well, why is Luke's beard kind of black and he looks a little younger? Well, screw it. You know, he's here.
Yeah.
Blaster fire. Oh, cool. There's some new force ability. He's able to protect himself. Wait a minute.
I didn't either.
I didn't either.
His
But
feet
I will
aren't
say,
making
this is
the,
once
the
again
red
I'm
I didn't
subject to
notice
my
that the first time.
observant.
I noticed the
Yeah, when-
lightsaber.
that they broke in two. Yeah.
Yeah, which salon did he stop by? Which salon
He
did
stopped
he go
it.
to?
He went to Toshi Station
Yeah.
and picked up some new power converters. That's like,
So something I
guess
liked.
what irritated...
Something I liked
Oh,
is
go on ahead, Rob.
is when he was marching out there to confront Kylo. The
Yeah,
music
I like
was a
The
like a
music was
heroic
absolutely
variation of
fantastic
the
through
Imperial
whole film.
March.
That was probably easily my favorite thing about
It was
beautiful music.
Oh,
The
look
score
at
for this movie was
Um,
amazing. What I didn't like was Luke just... I mean, I understand why they did it, and I get it. Luke using up a lot of force energy and yada yada. Why didn't he just go
If
there?
he's
I know
gonna
his
die in the
X-Wing's
film, why
damaged,
couldn't
and
he actually
that's
die
probably
there?
the main reason,
And
but...
Kylo Ren's hand.
Why he didn't just go there
Yeah.
and do it, or exactly, and make it a similarity to Kenobi and Darth, and then the projection killing him. I understand it took a lot of strength, and he was clearly fatigued, but I would have hoped that, now I'm at peace, and I've got my Force abilities
Yeah.
back, and I can't
And-
wait
and I
for
mean,
Rey
he's
to
the-
come back,
he's the
just like I
son
did
of
from
Anakin
Yoda, and
Skywalker.
well, frag, I'm dead.
He's the son of Anakin
Yeah.
Skywalker. Could he not survive
That was
just a
definitely
little
my
bit of
initial
force
thought.
wielding?
I mean, for God's sakes, Anakin burned alive, and he still survived.
Yeah,
And
but that was
Luke is
dark side,
the
though.
strongest Force. Well,
That's like a thing. I don't know how much of a thing it is in canon, but like in Legends, it was this big thing where
Sion
like
did it.
you can use the dark side to artificially prolong your life.
Yeah.
But a Jedi,
Mm-hmm.
it's like there is no death, there is the Force. They're more willing to
Sion
die.
used it, yeah, and Nihilus used it. But the other thing that kind of confused me, the dice, the gold dice. I know everything about them, and I get it. How come after Luke
I
passed,
thought they were going to turn out to
and
be real.
about 5 minutes later, when
I know,
Kylo
but
had
then
him in
I
his
figured that'd
hand,
be probably
then
too
they
much for
faded
all of
away.
them.
Because when Luke went out to confront Ben, I forget the exact line, but he
Yeah.
said something like, "If you strike me down in anger, I will stay with you, just like your father is." And then he sees,
Oh, right,
even
yeah.
after Luke has died,
Because the way I
Kylo
understand
sees the
power
dice
works
that were his
is
father's
he's
that
just
Luke
appearing
left
in
there.
everyone's minds.
Oh.
Fair
He's not
enough.
actually there. They're imagining him. It's not like a hologram that he's generating. It's just psychological. And so the dice stayed there for Ben and for Leia.
Oh,
because
yeah,
they
the
would've-
new-
They would have been more strongly connected to it.
Well,
That's what I think.
Mhm.
what I think, the only reason why I think there's a flaw in him doing it through their minds is how many
Yeah, I
Resistance
guess.
fighters were there? Like 40, 50 left, and then all those First Order guys that saw him and had to angle. And that is a lot of people. Not saying that Luke couldn't do it, but then again, why couldn't Luke survive from just doing it?
This was just one last thing on that.
Yep.
I think actually going back to what you were saying, why didn't he just go there in person? Like he was talking about, I forget the exact lines, but basically they need a legend,
Oh, right,
but he's
yeah.
only a man. So what he does is he gives them a legend. They don't want Luke Skywalker, the old dude, to show up there and get blown up by a bunch of ATM-6s. They want Luke Skywalker to pop up out of nowhere, walk out there, survive getting blasted by a bunch of blasters,
Yeah.
So you mean
and then buy
he's
enough
standing down the
time
First Order with a
sacrificing himself
laser
to fight
sword.
Kylo
So
Ren
he's
for everyone
basically-
to escape.
So he just basically just completely scared the crap out of First Order now.
Yeah.
That they don't really, all the First Order troopers on the M6s probably don't know what happens. They just saw Kylo Ren slash at him, and that didn't kill him, and he just stood there. And so, what are they thinking now? The First Order, they must be quite scared of the Jedi now.
Yeah.
Kylo Ren couldn't beat him.
Well, let's wrap this up with, I think, something that'll be fun. What is one thing everyone is looking forward to or hope that'll appear in the next movie? Daniel, you go on ahead and kick it off.
All right. I'm hoping to actually see some kind of Jedi Order, Ghost Luke maybe, but yeah, definitely with that
Cockney
broom
chimney
boy.
sweep kid.
I think they're teasing a new
new
Jedi
generation.
Order. So that's what I want to
I
see.
really like Mandalorians in the next one. I hope that they really put together a massive army as the new Rebel Alliance and make it that they don't just reach out to a few systems and a few different Rebel cells. They reach out to everyone, and that it's one half of the galaxy against another, basically. You know, and that they truly unite for a huge war against the First Order. Yeah, actual resistance.
Yeah, how about some resistance
Oh,
ships
yeah.
too?
Oh,
Like
yeah, the
actual
Republic.
Oh, yeah,
resistance.
Mm.
I mean, not resistance. I mean Republic.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they're gone. Like, the entire
Yeah,
fleet
that's
and
true.
everything gone.
Yeah, but I mean,
Taris
there's
seems to be the
thousands
one
of
they keep coming
planets
back to.
in the Republic.
Yeah.
There's got to be something.
But each one's being policed by a First Order dreadnought and something else.
Yeah.
I have two things, if I may.
Go
I
for
want
it.
to see Hayden Christensen as Force Ghost Anakin harassing Kylo, and because I know this is something they're going to have to deal with, Princess Leia. What I would like
That
to
was
see
mine.
for how they handle Leia is an off-screen death where like they explain she's like taken ill, and then someone
yeah.
goes into her room and finds just her clothes remaining,
Yeah.
and then her Force Ghost
That
also
could work.
harasses Kylo.
That'd be
That'd be
great.
one way to do it.
I
Kylo
think-
needs a lot of harassment.
I think the Princess Leia thing, I've already somewhat envisioned it for the next movie. They're someone's going to come break the news to everyone. Leia's dead. Oh,
Yeah.
well, what are we gonna
Yeah.
do now? And then they all come together and bada bing, bada boom, new rebels. I
Yeah.
definitely foresee that
Awesome.
happening. It's a shame about Carrie, but her performance was top notch
Yes.
in this film.
That's
Agreed. Yeah.
Mhm. Anyways, guys, Daniel, you wrap it up.
All right, thanks, guys. Stay tuned for more
Pain and
dubs
Wine.
coming up. Yeah, thanks for watching.
Adios.
See you later.